in my programmes, we disagree without being disagreeable. Let's get another perspective now from Momus Najimi, who is a writer and commentator. Momus used to be a Muslim but left Islam 18 years ago. Momus, tell us your perspective on all of this. This is the main story in the Times today, saying that Britain has been revealed as the Western capital for the use of Sharia courts. You're very welcome to the programme.
Hi there. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, I think so. I agree with Simon on a way, like that, the Jewish court also, they have halakha, I think so it's called. And then you have Sikh courts, you have the Islamic Sharia laws and stuff like that. I think so. The problem is that we only see it. The main problem is that people like Simon don't see it as a problem. Right. And the other thing is that we only see these things when they appear, like we only see symptoms when they appear, and then we want to react to those symptoms. But how did these actually happen? So if we want to have freedom of religion, we either say, okay, everything is allowed, or we need to set some sort of boundaries.
And that's the question, isn't it, really? What are the boundaries, and what is just simply a religious matter that actually we can talk about and say, well, that's a religious matter, and if people want to adhere to those courts, that's up to them. But my worry is that it's not a choice for many people. They're having this imposed on them, and they're having rights taken away from them that are not that conflict with the British way of life.
Yeah, and this is directly related to immigration as well, because if you're going to have immigration on mass immigration of whole communities and stuff who are going to live in parallel communities, then people within those communities are going to be trapped, and they will not be able to access the laws of those countries, the rights that host country provides, because they're interlocked by families. And when it comes to families, like a lot of times, like we have less rights if we are in a family, no matter what that family is, right? And no matter what the makeup of that family is. But when it's compounded by a whole community, whole religion, whole religious, teachings and traditions and stuff, then it becomes problematic. So the issue over here is that we have laws against such things. We don't apply those laws. And because we don't apply those laws, there is no encouragement then further on to create more laws against such things.
What is it like?
If we're not going to apply any laws, and if we're going to let people take the mickey out of Britain, then obviously they're going to do it.
Momus, what was it like? I mean, did you know people who were subject to Sharia law, who'd been through Sharia courts and so on? What's your experience of this?
So I haven't personally been involved in any of that, because my family, they were Muslims, and they are Muslims and stuff, but they don't really go along with Sharia courts.
So what sort of level of belief do you need to have then to ascribe to Sharia law? We're clearly not talking about all Muslims here.
Well, this is the issue, right? So the thing is, like, in Islam is there. So a bad Muslim would be a good person and not go along with Sharia law.
Right.
That's how I see it, right? Because we say, like, there's a lot of good Muslims. And I tell them, no, there's not a lot of good Muslims. There are a lot of bad Muslims who are good people.
Right.
So they don't go along with the, strict edicts of Islam. So you have to have, like, the basic thing is you have to believe in Sharia law, because it is out of the teachings of Quran and Hadiths. So if you're denying what's in the Sharia law most of the time, and there's no legitimate challenge for it, there's no theological challenge to it, there's no process of challenging to it, that means you are denying Islam in itself, that you only want to believe in what's comfortable. I'm fine with that. But, obviously, according to Islam, that won't be fine. Our problem over here is, why are we accepting of other religions?
Well, why is that, do you think? Why are we so tolerant as a society? Because there'll be people who look at this, shrug their shoulders and say, well, listen, if there are Muslims in this country who want to abide by Sharia law, let them.
I think so. The issue is, like, we have this concept of freedom of religion, right? Those ideas were built at a time when there were not that many immigrants in this country, when there were not many other cultures in this country. A long time ago, right? And those people who were coming over here were in the old times, they had to integrate, they had to assimilate, because they were coming here for that reason. And if they weren't going to, the application of law was there to remove those people in whatever way possible. right?
Yes.
So we've had those into law, into our psyche over here in Britain for a very, very long time, centuries and centuries and centuries. And then has come a period when people have abused that psyche by mass immigration. So now we can't we want to have some application of the law, but our inherent nature is stopping us from doing it. So we have to get past that hurdle of ourselves,
Hmm.
of our own liberal ideas, and say, okay, maybe this time liberalism has gone a bit too far, and we need to drag it a bit back, and we need to have some sort of governance which favors the people of this country first.
And how do you actually do that, Momus? Because do you actually say we're going to abolish Sharia courts, we're going to outlaw them in some way? I mean, what do you think is the practical action that should be taken against these courts?
So when it comes to Sharia law, I think so it needs to apply to everyone. It needs to apply to Sharia law, halakha, Sikh courts, or whatever else it might be, apart from anything that is to do with Christianity. Because by the end of the day, it is a Christian country. As long as we have the head of state who is the head of church as well, this is a Christian country, no matter what anyone says, right? So we can't.
Although the law would be, I mean, the law of this country, many people would say, would be antithetical to many aspects of Christianity, for example. It is a Judeo-Christian system, but there are lots of aspects of law that are against what the Bible says, for example, and that's fine. That's just the way the country is. That's the way the law is.
Yeah, because that religion has grown into being moderate enough to accept those things, right? That's a side matter, right? But the thing is, even if we ban Sharia code, it won't stop people, it won't stop those communities practicing Sharia. It won't stop them from congregating or creating their own shadow Sharia courts. First of all, we need to stop calling them courts, because when you start calling them courts, we're giving them some sort of legitimacy.
Yeah, it's a fair point, isn't it?
Yeah. But secondly, I think so there's a lot of incentives around the people who are experiencing it. We need to remove those incentives, right? The reason why...
Well, what are the incentives?
Well, the incentives out of those people, right? So as far as I see it, the reason why we have Sharia courts so much in UK is because we have the biggest Pakistani population out of any other European country. And Pakistanis are very active with these sort of things. Even in their own country and stuff, there has been a whole movement where the whole Pakistan itself, their Pakistani penal code, which was based on English law, has been changed into Sharia law over the course of time. So you have certain activists that are very active over there, and they are implementing these things, right? The incentive system is, let's say, let's talk about marriage, right? When it's second, third, and fourth marriage, which is legitimized by Sharia courts, but obviously not by the law, right?
Yeah.
Why are we giving benefits to those people? Why are those people coming into this country in the first place? They're marrying someone else, and they're bringing that person and that's their second wife, third wife, fourth wife, and they have kids from them. Why are we giving them benefits and stuff, right? So we need to start investigating these cases a bit more. We find out, this person has come in, it's the second wife of this guy, right? We say, well, you're not legitimate like wife over here, so you have to go back. And she says, no, she has family. Or who is your family? Oh, his father is my uncle. Okay, there's another case now. This is a cousin marriage, right? We need to, like, once you start uncovering more and more, once you start investigating more and more, then you can say, you know what the result is? We need to have consequences for these actions. So we need to deport the lot of you, your whole family, because you have...
Well, if it's people who are born in this country, Momus, who are involved in all of this, because there will be people who are brought out of this country to somewhere like Pakistan, for example, to be married, to be a second or third wife, who are then brought back into the country.
They need to have consequences. So there needs to be something within the law for them to either receive very hefty fines and prison sentences. That there have to be deterrents, right? And also we have to get over this concept that just being born over here does not make you a part of this country. If you're not going to obey by the laws, if you're not going to adhere to the culture and values of this country, it doesn't make you of that country. So it's not like a gotcha thing. It's like, oh, I was born over here, so you can't remove me. No, be able to remove you. We should be able to revoke your citizenship. We should be able to talk about
it does happen in other countries.
Yes, it does.
It does happen in other countries.
Within Islamic countries, like the place where I was born in Kuwait, right? They would regularly deport people. They never gave me citizenship because I was born over there. They didn't give me citizenship at all, right? Because they don't believe in those sort of things.
Yeah.
And if you commit any crime, even a petty crime, they would deport you and blacklist you for the rest of.
Where would they deport you to in Kuwait? If you're in Kuwait,
you come here. Let's say you come from Pakistan. They would
but if you're born in Kuwait, can they deport you?
Yes, of course.
They revoke your citizenship, but where do they deport you to if you don't give citizenship elsewhere?
They don't give you citizenship, right? So they don't give you citizenship to begin with. You have a default citizenship of your parents.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you would get back. And even if, let's say, someone throws away their passports and come over, first of all, they don't really give amnesty to anyone. They don't really give refuge to people and stuff. Even if they gave refuge to people, they would just deport them to the last port of call. They are okay doing that. Right,
what would you say? Okay, let me just ask you one more thing before you go, Momus. What would you say to? There will be a lot of people who say, you know, even discussing this, even having this discussion is a racist thing, or is culturally insensitive, or that we need to be more understanding of Islam or Judaism or Sikhism or whatever. And actually, it's not our role to have this debate. What would you say to them?
I would say to them, like, get over yourself. You know, nobody's interested in your virtue signaling, right? If it's racist for me as a first-generation immigrant, ex-Muslim, talking about these things of Pakistani heritage, telling you about like the problems within Pakistan, if it's like problematic for me, then I don't know who it is going to be for. And if it's, you're saying like, if it's problematic for English people, English white native people to talk about their interests, to talk about their national interests, if it's racist, then it should be racist for everyone to talk about it. Then we shouldn't be talking about this malarkey of a global majority or any of that sort of thing. Then we shouldn't be talking about Japanese people wanting Japan for Japanese. We shouldn't be talking about Africans celebrating. We shouldn't be talking about Kemi Badenoch in 2010 celebrating how she's a Nigerian candidate. We shouldn't be talking about any of those things then, right? Because it's racist overall then. So why is it only racist if English people want to have a homeland for their own country, for their own benefits? And any immigrant that is coming into this country has to assimilate and has to understand Britain doesn't need you, you need Britain. So show a bit of gratitude, assimilate or get out.
Momus, thank you very much. I've learned a lot and had a lot of food for thought there. That's Momus Najimi. He's a writer and commentator.